You can't complain.
Yeah.
And let's see here. Yeah, my daughter Mallory just went out to lunch with her friends. They got all dolled up. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's what you do when you're 15 and it's summer.
I have a 16-year-old, so.
Where are you going? You're all like, she had her hair all curled. I'm like, they're going to it's just this little restaurant called the Corner Pub. You know, it's not a pub. It's like a little restaurant, but that's like the place. I'm like, you're going to lunch with your friend.
Well, I think my 16-year-old boy spends as much time in his hair as my 12-year-old girl. So, you know.
You see, that's it, right? And she was all worried about, because we went on the cruise this weekend, and she's like, will they take my straightener? I'm like, they've taken all kinds of stuff from your mom. I'm like,
it's important. It's important stuff.
And I'm like, I don't know that they won't. I'm like, so I wouldn't put anything in your bag that you don't want taken, because I can't promise you. Because they took Pam, my wife, they took her, I think, hair dryer one time. They've taken stuff, because like there are rules, and they don't play games. Like
it's like you're not allowed things like extension cables and things like that, are you?
You can't take power strips, because I tried to sneak one on, and nope, that does not work. That's why I tell people, I'm like, you can do what you want. I'm just saying, don't take anything on that you are attached to, because
absolutely, they'll take it right off you.
Yeah, I think there's a table, like when you get home, like when you get off the ship, that there's like all the confiscated items on a table where you can reclaim them. I've never seen it.
I don't know. I've only cruised once, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm always too excited to just get out of there and get going. So,
yeah.
Lunchtime special. Well, see, it's primetime special because Vicky's over in the UK. So see how this works. It's I just scarfed down my lunch. I didn't even taste it. Made a little grilled cheese, and boom, here we are. All right, so we're gonna talk.
You see, I'm getting ready for tea time. We're gonna be very British and have fish and chips for tea tonight. So
have a little tea,
yeah.
I do love sweet tea though, and I have some upstairs. I should have brought some down. That'd have been perfect for this show. Dang, I missed opportunity. Okay. So this is for this Monday, and it's 23. I'm doing like 9 shows this week, so I'm so out of order, and I don't even know what number.
Oh wow!
I got 2 more with Scott on Thursday. Then I'm ready for the cruise, and we're good.
I can imagine.
Holy cow! Okay, so this is for Monday. Got that. Okay, all the buttons. All right, got your notes. All right, let's do this. Here we go. Here we go. Welcome to episode 2314 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. And you know it is a happy Monday for me, because I am currently headed from a place that I love called Walt Disney World. And I'm headed about 45 minutes east this morning to another place that I love just a little bit more, called Port Canaveral, Florida, Cocoa Beach, because we're getting on a ship. It's called the Disney Wish, with about 100 of our listeners for the next 4 days. We're going to head down to Nassau, Bahamas. We're going to head to Castaway Cay. We're going to have a sea day, and we're going to have more fun than people should be allowed to have. We're going to be sailing with the Disney Cruise Line, having a great time. The Be Our Guest Podcast Cruise has arrived today. We're going to have so much fun. So follow us on the social media at BRGuestMike, at EpScott, at TMFLTPam. We'll be tweeting away today as we depart. I can't promise we'll be tweeting during the cruise, because I tend to disconnect. During the cruise is kind of one of the things I like to do, but I will be, of course, getting audio, getting video, getting pictures during the cruise. We'll be sharing that upon getting back on the 7th. And, definitely have stuff here on the show for everybody, but I can't wait. I'm super excited. I love cruising, but it's more fun cruising with friends. And we have lots and lots of friends sailing with us this time, and just going to have a wonderful time. And also, hey, just in case you want to, and it'd be great, we ask this every time, if you would like, this afternoon around 3:00 Eastern, between 3 and 4, PortCanaveralWebcam.com. Again, that's PortCanaveralWebcam.com. If anybody could get a screenshot of us waving to you as we sail away out of Port Canaveral, we would love that. So somebody could grab a screenshot. PortCanaveralWebcam.com. As the Disney Wish departs, we'll be waving to you at Fish Lips. That's where the camera is. I'll say, hey, everybody, and we'll be out of here. So that'd be great. But we'll be having a good time, and you guys keep it real. We have the show still coming out. You'll have podcasts. Don't worry. It's amazing we can podcast while we're even not here, but we'll have a good time. So anyway, we're gonna have a great show today. Today's a special show because we're going across the pond like my St. Louis Cardinals did last week, and we're gonna speak with Vikki today. Vikki, thanks for coming on the show. How you doing?
Good evening. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Again, I love this. We've talked with listeners in Australia. Now we're headed over to the UK. So it's the evening where you are. It's lunchtime where I am. So hope things are going well over there. Here, you guys are having kind of a heat wave. I saw that with my baseball team last week. It's kind of hot. It's summer in the UK.
We get about 3 days worth of summer here, and that's about all really. It's got cold again today, and I think that summer that might be it. That might be all we get, but it's been very nice.
I've really wanted to get over to London and in the UK in general because, well, two things. My Cardinals really, they did, they showed a lot of the touristy stuff while the Cardinals Cubs played over there over the past weekend, but I'm a huge Love Boat fan. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
love it. I have it on, or actually it's on here in the office right now on mute. I keep it on in my office 24/7 on this app called Pluto TV. And they did a whole bunch of episodes like over in the UK, and it like of course it was like the 80s, but it intrigues me. They go all around London, double-decker buses, and see all the sights, and Westminster Abbey and all that stuff. I got to get there someday.
It is like that. You come to London, that's exactly what happens.
I figure, here's how I look at it, right? I mean, you're watching the Love Boat from the 80s visiting, all the sites in London, but they're all from like the 1500s. So they're really, relatively speaking, it's not that long ago, I mean, even though it was the 80s on what's 40 years compared to, like 400 years, so it's relatively close.
The attractions here have been around for quite a while now.
I mean, it hasn't aged all that much in the
No.
grand scheme of things. Anyway, so I'm super excited to have you on the show. So let's talk about your Disney fandom. What's it like? Not being American, but being a Disney fan. What's it like being over the UK and being somebody who has a passion for Disney?
Well, I mean, we're DVC members, so we come quite regularly.
Right.
We were, as children, we never went to Disney as children, me and my sister. The first time we went to Disney was when we were actually on honeymoon, which was just over 20 years ago. And ever since then, we've been coming back pretty much every year ever since then.
I love hearing that when folks like from so far away are DVC members. I think I'm far away from Walt Disney World, right? But relatively speaking, I'm not, compared to you, right? I mean, I'm a 2-hour flight, I used to drive down, and you get across in your DVC and you have this connection to the place, and just I love it. Like right now, Kate's joining us in the live chat, and she's in Yorkshire, I believe is how you pronounce it. I'm trying to say it right.
Yes, Yorkshire, that's correct.
I'm trying to be orange today. And, she's like, it's raining here, and but it is so cool that Disney is such an international brand. But what is it that everybody has their different thing that brings them in? For me, it's not the movies. It's not even, I didn't grow up with the movies like that. Some people, it really is the movies. It's the characters. It's, the Bambi, the story of, the characters in that movie, or Winnie the Pooh, or, they brought you in as a kid. But what was it that got you to where you are DVC now? To me, it's the logistics of the theme parks. First time I went down, I was like, I can't believe places are this beautiful and this well run and this meticulous. I mean, that's what got me just intrigued with the place. But what was it that hooked you?
I mean, I think when we were deciding where to go on honeymoon, we weren't quite sure where we wanted to go, apart from the fact that we wanted to do something quite big for obvious reasons. And we thought of a few different options, but we thought, Disney World, neither of us had ever been, and thought, fun, that sounds like fun. So we came across in September. It was actually September 2001. So we got caught up in the whole 9/11 debacle while we were there for our honeymoon. But we went everywhere. We went to every single park. We did SeaWorld, we did Busch Gardens, we did everything. But obviously got very involved and fell in love with Disney. So that's why we then started coming back as regularly as we possibly could. And then when we had our children, we obviously brought them over as well. And it's been happening say pretty much every year ever since, sometimes twice a year. I've been to Paris a couple of times as well, but Florida is definitely the place that has our hearts.
So let me ask you this, and we are going to jump into the trip we're going to talk about because I like to get into that, but I kind of like to dive in, like we're on the couch here because I just like to get why people are here on the show and why people dive in to listen to podcasts. But what is it though? I mean, on your honeymoon, what got your attention? Like for me, it was as crazy as this sounds, it was pulling up to French Quarter, Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter Resort. That's where I was staying at night. Magical Express wasn't around back then. We had rented a town car and I didn't know what I was doing. Like, it's my first time there, right? I'd never stayed at a hotel at Walt Disney World, and they dropped us off at night and we came under that porte cochere, the big foyer, and had all the white lights, and you got out of the car and there was jazz music playing. And then there was a guy dressed like in the costume with the, looking all New Orleans, opening the door for us, giving us beads, and then taking us, the check-in place was immaculate. And then you could go get, beignets, and they took you to your room. There's jazz music playing with fountains. And I'm like, holy smokes. This is like, I hadn't even made it to a theme park yet. I was like, this is unbelievable. And I mean, I'd been there for 30 minutes. The theming was just I was like, and I was eating it up because even the street signs were purple. And the islands and the roads were meticulously taken care of. The grass was so cool. Everything like that is what sold me, and it still does. But what was it for you? Was it stuff like that, or was it more the stories of the attractions, or I don't know. What was your connection? What hooked you?
Yeah, it was exactly the same, to be honest. When we came on honeymoon, we were off site in a tiny little budget motel at the bottom of I-Drive because you couldn't afford much more than that. But when we did come that first time, we got to see some of the resorts and thought, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. We have to stay at one of these one day. So we did, and then obviously worked ourselves up from, I think All Star Movies was the first one we stayed at. And then we started staying at the moderates. And then, of course, we went DVC as well. But I think the whole thing for us is very much the theming. And myself and my husband are both teachers, which I know you used to be.
Yeah.
So it's nice to just completely escape everything, but still be in a world where you're surrounded by things that are fun. And as a teacher, I teach 6-year-olds all day. So my life is a lot of fun. So when I go on holiday, I like to do the same thing, really.
God bless you. I should not be asking you questions because I know that you probably get 720 questions a day from 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I know, because I was a TA for a year, and part of my day was in kindergarten, and that was the longest. My 15 minutes in kindergarten was the longest 7 hours of my day every day. Oh
no, they're great. My class are wonderful. They're fantastic. But the thing is, a lot of my friends, my children, in my class have been to Florida this year. A lot of them catching up from trips that were cancelled during COVID and such like. So they keep coming back and bringing me little gifts and say, "Oh, did you do this? And did you do this? And did you do this?" And so we end up, not teaching a lesson at all, and it's talking about Disney most of the day. So there you go.
that always happened in my class, even though what's ironic though is when I was a teacher, like I taught in and my wife still does, like we taught in the same district in a very low socioeconomic area. And so our kids, Walt Disney World was almost a foreign concept to them. They knew of it because of the culture, but very few of them ever got to experience a Walt Disney World vacation. They would go to Six Flags if they were lucky. But every once in a while a kid would get to go. And when they did, boy, we would talk it up. And I didn't care, what, guess what? Math didn't get taught that day. You know what?
Well, yeah, I mean, like my whole classroom is Disney. I have like the posters with the quotes up. I have the cuddly toys all over the classroom. I have like my screensaver on my whiteboard is Epcot. And, when we're writing or something and I have relaxing music on, it's usually piano that's Disney music, and it's just, that it's quite funny when people come into my classroom and go, "Oh, you're the Disney teacher." Yeah, that's me.
There was a couple of class. I probably we're talking about the trip. This is the last thing, but so I taught 6th grade. So that was like 12, 13-year-olds. And every day after recess, we had silent reading for 30 minutes after recess, basically just to calm them down, because they come in, they'd be just all wound up. And I was like, I turn out the lights, and I pulled out a book and you read for 30 minutes so that everybody could just everybody calm down before we do science or whatever. And so I had the Illumination soundtrack and Tapestry of Nations. To me, that's still the perfect CD. Like if I was ever stranded on an island and I could only have one CD, that's it. The Illuminations / Tapestry of Nations soundtrack. And I played that CD every day as they came in from recess. I know there's like 30 kids that know that CD because they heard it 180 times. I mean,
it's the soaring background music for my class.
Yes.
Yeah. So the soaring Epcot loop, that whole loop, I have that on all the time. They love that. And Living with the Land as well. The background music from Living with the Land.
You and I should do a PD for like professional development to calm kids down after recess. It sounds like we should go on tour right now. Anyway. Okay, so let's talk about your trip you want to share today. So how did it come together? And I know you had a whole bunch of stuff going on, but just give us some background on this one.
Yeah, I mean, this trip happened last summer. It was our first big summer trip after COVID. We had actually been the previous December as well, which we had booked thinking it was never going to happen because the borders wouldn't be open. And then the American borders opened about 2 weeks before we left. So we managed to get a Christmas trip and we managed to get our summer trip as well. But because we had I think it was 2 holidays cancelled through COVID, we managed to rent out some of our DVC points, but we still had quite a lot left over. And we come over for at least 4 weeks every summer anyway. But the good thing about this trip was instead of staying in studios, we could stay in 1 bedrooms, which was very nice.
You're rolling the big time. We got to talk about this, but this is so strange. Okay, so I got to show you this. My phone is sitting next to me. And you know how they say technology listens to you? Okay, I know people listen on audio, but I have to show you the picture that is showing on my screen right now because this rotates through every hour. It is a picture of Mallory, my youngest daughter, sipping tea as I'm sleeping with Vikki from the UK. Sipping tea because she's getting ready for tea time. That was a picture that we took at the Grand Floridian back in the day when we did the tea experience. Let me ask you that real quick. Have you ever done that?
I haven't, and I would really love to do that. I don't think it's come back yet. It's something I would love to do it just to see what the American concept of having high tea actually is and see if it's the same as it is here.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm sitting there listening to you say that. I glanced down at my phone because I got an alert and I was looking and it's Mallory with a teacup up there. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm talking to Vikki in the UK and my daughter is looking back at me sipping tea like she's in the UK. I'm like, I've entered this is because we don't usually record in the middle of the day. I'm like, I am in an alternate universe right now.
I hate to break the stereotype, but I have just had a cup of tea. I haven't got it with me right now. I just finished one in my haunted mansion mug, of course. So
I'm just saying I need to stop the show and go get me a tea or something. Everything's conspiring against me at this point. But I gotta tell you though, so we all did that tea at the Grand Floridian, a bunch of us. So it was the Forresters, her whole family, Pam's family, Scott's whole family, and it was wild because it was. At first I was like, I don't want to do this, but I didn't want to be the party pooper. I would, if you guys want to do it, let's do it. I was just like, I am a fish out of water. If there was ever a fish out of water situation, it's me. For one, me at the Grand Floridian, fish out of water already. Me at the Grand Floridian having high tea. Okay. Now you got me really out of waters. But
did you put the finger up?
I did for the spirit of the whole thing because yes, I will say a couple takeaways. The lady came around and asked how I take my tea, and I told her I take it sweet like at McDonald's because that's the only kind of tea I've ever had in my life. Here's the McDonald's sweet tea. She says, "Sir, we got to work on you." You all being really good. They gave me some tea that I liked, and the sandwiches were incredible. The food. Not a lot. You didn't get enough, but it was good. And the best part was when Scott spilled the entire hot pot of tea in his lap. I mean, just blazing hot. I mean, right in his lap. So yeah, it was a fun time had by all except for
did they cut the crusts off the sandwiches?
Yeah, yeah. And they were cut into triangles. I mean,
perfect.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, it's a Grand Floridian. It's gotta be triangle. You're paying big bucks. It's gotta be triangle. No, but it was a fun day. We got lots of good pictures. But okay, back here. I'm gonna turn my phone upside down or something because Mallory's looking at me sipping the tea. And we're spilling the tea here on the BRGS podcast today. Okay, so back to the trip though. So you got you got the bigger accommodations. Now, sorry, I know you stayed a couple of different places because you had them stayed up. So where did you guys bounce around? How did you decide where you wanted to stay?
Well, to be honest, we are quite stingy when it comes to points, and we do like to stay in the cheaper ones where we possibly can, and try and make the most of our money. But because we were going for 4 weeks, we only had 2 weeks worth of park tickets. The UK used to have one where we got a 21-day pass, but unfortunately that doesn't exist anymore. It's only a 14-day one. So we only had 2 weeks in the park. So we thought we'd do some other bits and pieces before we got to the parks. And we started off, it's quite hard to remember, there's loads of resorts we did Animal Kingdom Lodge in their club level. I think that was for 4 or 5 nights, which we've done before, and it was wonderful, because to do that when you've got no park tickets is absolutely perfect, to be perfectly honest.
Why leave the lodge? You don't need park tickets, just hang there.
That's right. We spent a lot of time in that club level and doing the activities. The cultural representatives weren't quite back at that point. I know they are now. So all of the activities weren't quite available, but there was still a lot going on. So we took part in all of that, and we spent some time resort hopping, going to different resorts as well while we were at Animal Kingdom Lodge. I think we moved on to Vero Beach after that, where we've never been before. And it was pretty much exactly the same as Old Key West, but at the beach.
Let me ask you about that though, because I've never been there.
Yeah,
I like that comparison though. That like Old Key West, but you don't. I guess I would say like don't have the temptation of the theme parks being right there in your backyard, so you feel like you're missing something. So was it kind of a forced relaxation because you just have the resort, like the resort experience and the beach itself? So I mean, it makes you just slow down and just, this is all there is. There's going to.
It does. I mean, we're not really beach people, to be perfectly honest, but it was somewhere that we wanted to actually try, and it was lovely. I mean, I've been teaching my class that particular year about sea turtles and all of the conservation around that. So actually going and seeing where their nests were was absolutely wonderful. I took loads and loads of pictures for them so they could see what was going on there. And the sunsets there and walking on the beach at night was just beautiful. You really couldn't beat it. And literally the actual rooms, again, exactly the same as Old Key West. You could have been in Old Key West. They were so similar.
Sign me up, because I love Old Key West. Oh,
me too.
That's a great comparison. That's awesome.
And I did find there was spotted throughout the resort as well. There was lots of little hammocks, but not just normal hammocks. They had almost like really thick pads on them, so you could literally go and lay on those, and I would lay on those for a couple of hours, read my book. I had my refillable mug with me, had my Coke Zero, and so good. It was just lovely to relax properly in Florida in the beautiful weather for the first time in quite a long time.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Where do I sign up? This is really good right now. Oh my! I mean, I'm on the Disney wish as this comes out. Not bad, but I could take a dose of Vero Beach right now.
It's beautiful. It's so nice. We're actually because we're going back again next year, so we're considering going back to Vero Beach for a couple of days again next year, perhaps.
Let me stop you there though, because you were here for 4 weeks and you had 2 weeks worth of tickets. You said that you used to be able to get a 21-day ticket. Would you like to go back to having the 21-day ticket, or was?
Yeah. I mean,
that would like to have like 3/4 of the days covered with tickets.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about the 14-day ticket is it does stretch over 18 days, so you can pick 14 days out of those 18, which is good. And that's going to be the same for next year as well. But I'd love the 21-day pass to come back, because even though we did have a great time, 14 days in the park didn't feel quite enough for me personally. The family, my husband, son and daughter, went to Universal for a few days, but that's not really my cup of tea, as we would say. So I spent some
tea today.
It's all about the tea today. But we do say that. It's not my cup of tea.
Lady show title with tea.
But yeah, they spent a little bit of time at Universal, which was actually quite nice, because that was when we were staying at Saratoga Springs. So I spent a lot of time going backwards and forwards to Disney Springs and going around there, getting on the Skyliner, going across to different resorts, and just wandering around and that in that resort only time, which was really nice, and it was lovely to be there. But I like to get in the parks as well.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
I get it, but I have noticed. I mean, and I think it. You know, you probably get this as well because you go probably just as frequently as I do, and as a lot of our listeners do, which is, you know, ironic considering you're from such a great distance. But it's one of those things as you go longer, you know, I do appreciate my time outside the parks now. Is, you know, I've become as much of a resort person as I have a theme park person. Some people don't ever get there. Some people really are into the theme parks, but you know, I do enjoy, like you said, like an old Key West and just hanging out at the pool, or just, you know, going around and just, you know, visiting the other resorts and having a meal at Geyser Point just because it's a nice night or stuff like that. I mean,
Well, yeah,
like
because
Disney
we tried
Springs
to we tried to visit as many of the DVC resorts as we could and do as many tours of the rooms as we could. We tried to see as many. Our goal was to try and get into as many grand villas as we possibly could.
Nice. I mean, I've
Just
been with Scott a couple times, and I love
yeah.
tours.
Yeah, I mean, and they're perfectly happy to do that. You know, they usually have something available, and you can just go and have a look around. The one we went to look at Bay Lake Tower was actually their DVC office, and they said, "Yeah, you can come and have a look as long as you understand it's an office as well. So there'll be desks and computers and things out." But yeah, they were really happy to show us around. Didn't try and sell us any more points or anything like that. They were just happy to chat and show us around the place.
That is nice, because one time I did go to one thing with Scott, and because we wanted, this was, I mean, this is how long ago it was, right? We went because we wanted to get fast passes and ice cream.
Yeah.
And they did try to sell me, and I'm like, look, I don't need it really right now. But they you know, and they say they don't give you a hard sell. This lady was giving me the hard. Scott, he was watching. They gave this lady, she was Russian, and she was trying to give me the hard. I was scared I was getting up back into like Siberia or something. Like, she was giving me the hard sell, and I was scared because she had my phone number and my like email. I was like, oh no. Like, she really wanted me to buy into DVC.
Yeah, I mean, if you go into like the official tour at Saratoga Springs, they do that. But you know, when you're already a member and you're just going for a little wander around, they're fine. Yeah. They don't try and sell you anything.
Yep. I found out, I was like, man, because I took the fast passes and I ate the ice cream, man. I was in. I was like, I'm in trouble at this point. I need to buy some points. I really don't need them. I'm a travel agent. Yeah. So, okay. So during this whole time, though, you got man, that's like the dream for so many of us, right? All that time. So what are some of the things that you did that are kind of, you know, outside the norm? You know, you got to go to all these other resorts, but did you do any like tours? Are you one of those folks who goes shopping out on iDrive? We always talk about that with international.
A little bit. We go to the Vineland outlets once or twice, but to be perfectly honest, with the way the pound is performing against the dollar for the last few years, it's not actually been that good. To be when we first came sort of 20 years ago, we were doing lots of shopping, trust me, but nowadays not quite so much. My son was desperate to try and get nice trainers in the way that, you know, 15-year-olds do. But there wasn't really anything particularly good for that. We did go, but we didn't stay for very long for that.
Good. No, because I know some people love going to those outlets, man. Those things are just HE double hockey sticks on earth for me, man. They're rough. Whew, Scott and I went that one time. That'll be the last time I'll ever go to the outlets. I'm not a shopper, and it was just, and we had
it was okay. It was okay. There was other bits and pieces in the resorts that we did. Like my husband and daughter did the one of the painting classes. I think it was at the Riviera. And that was really good. We do like doing all the tours and those sorts of things, but though the tours haven't really come back in yet. So we're hoping to do some of those next year, because my son's 16 now, and he really wants to go into the theme park industry. So we're hoping to take him on Keys to the Kingdom next year. Hopefully. We've done Wild Africa Trek and all those sorts of things as well.
That's so funny, because Mallory's been asking ever since she was like 10 to go on Keys to the Kingdom, and now she's 15. She'll be 16 in January, and that's the whole thing. She's like, okay, I got to do Keys to the Kingdom. And I'm like, well, you know, you will see stuff that will change how you see the park, right? You know, and she's not going to go into the theme park industry at all, but I don't know what she wants to do. I mean, she doesn't want to really work, I don't think. She's don't know how she thinks she's gonna give. I keep asking her, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I don't know, but she's still 15. But it's one of those things. She's been asking to do that tour. Now she'll be old enough, so I do want to take her. And I've been on it twice. I think that's a great tour. Now,
Same.
your son does have an interest in this, so it's one of those things where you guys probably really get geeky when you go into the theme parks and not just see it at kind of the superficial level. You're probably breaking down the logistics of everything as you go.
He could tell you who makes every single roller coaster, what sort of launch it has,
Nice.
and various things that I have got no idea. I wouldn't know whether he's right or not, but he seems to know what he's talking about.
Well, I mean, 16-year-olds know everything, so.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so true. So do you guys, so like when you go into the theme parks, do you rope drop? Do you use Genie Plus now? Do you stay all day? Like, how do you guys typically see a theme park?
Well, we actually did quite well last year, actually, because with the UK 14-day ticket, they had an offer that was only available for about 3 or 4 weeks, where you could add Genie Plus to the whole length of your ticket for the equivalent of about £6 a day, which is about $9 ish.
Oh my god!
Which when you look at it now,
people are driving their cars off the road around the United States as we speak.
Yeah, so we had Genie Plus for the entire time that we were there, which was amazing. I mean, I'm not a fan of it. Bring back Fast Pass for me, but it was great. Yeah, it was great for what it was at the time, and we got very good at stacking things for later in the evening because we're the sort of people that go out at rope drop. We do early entry if we possibly can as well, and then we'll leave the parks at maybe 11, 12 o'clock. And then we'll come back in at maybe 4 or 5 o'clock when we've stacked things up for later. And then sometimes, especially when we were staying at the boardwalk, because that was towards the end of the trip, we would either go back into Epcot right at the end of the day, or we would walk over to Hollywood Studios. And my son Ben was a big fan of going over to Hollywood Studios 10 minutes before it's shut and getting in the line for Rise of the Resistance when the wait time says like 210 minutes, but it's actually a walk on. So we did that multiple times over the course of the trip.
That's smart though. Like you have nothing but time when you're there that long,
yeah.
and you have access to the park. Why not? I mean, what else are you gonna do? And just
we would literally go over there for that, and that was it. But you would look at the wait times walking in, and people were like, "Oh, that's a really long wait." No, it won't be. Trust me. Just go in. You'll be fine.
Well, plus you have the added bonus of you're going to be the last person to walk out of a theme park at night, which if I know probably a lot of our listeners have done that. I mean, we've been, basically the last people in a theme park many, many times. But if you have not ever done that, they won't push you out of a theme park, but they'll kind of slowly walk behind you to make sure that you're making your way out. But it is incredible the pictures you can get as you walk down either like Hollywood Boulevard at the studios or Main Street USA or what have you at a theme park when you are literally one of the last people out. It's just as magical as being the first person there in the day, if not even more, because the parks are so neat at night. So that added bonus there. Your son is I like the way your son thinks.
Well, yeah, as well, because he's a coaster junkie as well. What he would often like to do is, as the park was closing, we'd go around to where Slinky Dog is, and he would take lots and lots of pictures of Slinky at night. And he's quite big on photography as well. So he would spend a very long time getting nighttime pictures of all his favorite coasters, which was great.
That is awesome. That is so cool. And I love that you guys have this family passion that you can share, but everybody's kind of got their angle, right? Your son's, into the engineering, the logistical stuff, but also photography, that's neat. So when you guys are at home, how do you guys, is it something that's around the dinner table that you're always virtually planning the next trip? Because I think that really, that's what I think is cool about Disney. And, there are different fandoms, people have sporting teams that they talk about at the dinner table, but there's not a whole lot of things where the whole family can rally together to get excited about something coming up in the future. But is that something for you guys? Disney brings you together?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're currently planning our trip for next year because we're actually not going this year, which is a big deal for us. We did go to Disneyland Paris in February, which was great, but it's okay. It's not great. It's not Florida. But the reason that we're not going this year is we're saving up next year so we can go to California and Florida. So we've got a really big trip coming up next year. So this year we're saving those pennies so that we can go on a massive trip next year.
See, now you worry me when you say you're going on a massive trip, when you talk about going on a 4-week trip already. Like,
Yeah.
people are like, wait a second, massive trip. We're just talking about being there for 4 weeks. We're going for a year. What are we doing here? No, just so. But have you ever been to Disneyland out in California?
We have not.
Oh,
No. And I know it's your favorite place right now as well.
It's so cool. And the thing is, I wasn't against it forever. I just kept telling myself, I can't love a place like I love Walt Disney World. Like Walt Disney World is in my head, and people kept telling me this, that I was wrong. But I'm like, I was like a 15-year-old boy. I'm like, nope, I'm right. You're wrong. Even though you have the receipts, right? You've been there. Like but I know. But here's, I told myself, well, they have 2 theme parks. Walt Disney World has 4 theme parks, and it's got all the land. It's got, you can't see the city from Disney World, but you can at Disney. Disneyland was just so cute and so easy. It was so amazing. I mean, there are great things about Walt Disney World. I mean, it's 2 different experiences. But
I feel it's going to be similar to Paris in that respect, in that the 2 parks are right next to each other, which is exactly like Paris is. But I think just to actually be there and be where Walt was, it's something we've wanted to do for a very long time. And of course, with Ben being the coaster junkie that he is, he's wanting to go to Six Flags and some other bits and pieces in LA theme parks while we're there. So we're going to do everything. Everything's happening next year.
Yes, and he'll get to do the Matterhorn and get you guys get your backs readjusted as you're there.
So I've heard. Yes, I am not going on that fun wheel with the moving cars though. That's not happening.
You are again. Ding! I didn't do that either, because half the people that see, I found out who likes me and who doesn't like me, because the people who told me, Mike, dude, just go on the fun wheel and get on one of the swinging baskets. I'm like, okay, you hate me because you're telling me lies. But the people that loved me said, do not get on that swinging basket on the fun wheel under any circumstances. And I didn't, and it was all good, because even people with iron stomachs that I know have gotten green on those things. And I don't need all that. Like, I didn't go to California to turn green. I was good.
No, I'm not. There's no way I'm doing that. I mean, Ben keeps trying to convince me that I would enjoy Rock and Roller Coaster. It's one of the only things I have not been on. I spent many, many years saying that as soon as my youngest was tall enough to go on Rock and Roller Coaster, then I would go on it. Both of my children are incredibly tall, and she met the height requirement when she was about 3.5, 4 years old. And then I had to start making other excuses not to go on it.
See, I can do the roller coasters. I can do those. Like, that doesn't get me too bad. In the picture that I have, I have a picture of myself and Joe Fickus and Mallory riding Rock and Roller Coaster together. It was Mallory's first ride. In the picture on her face, because that thing blasts out of the station, she had no idea that it was going to go that fast, that quick, is priceless.
One day.
It was $1,000 picture. And Joe was sitting I sit next to Mallory. Joe's behind me. Great picture. But yeah, it's one of those things that you get to have. That's what I like about Disney, though. Like, you have all these familiar experiences of world. And when you get out to Disneyland next year, you're going to have all these, very familiar experiences, but, Haunted Mansion, similar but different. Pirates of the Caribbean, better, similar but different.
Yeah.
And you can go to all these, places, maybe hopefully get to eat at Blue Bayou or go to Lamplighter, and, DCA's got all these fun, it feels like kind of like the studios, but it's not. It's like a hybrid. I'm super excited for it, because that's what's cool, today we're getting on the Disney Wish. I've sailed all the other 4 Disney Cruise Line ships, so I know what Disney Cruise Line's about, but it's a whole new ship. So even as Disney fans, that's what's kind of fun in this whole fandom, is that while you still, have familiar experiences, there's always a way to discover new things with your family, or even if you're a solo traveler.
Yeah, I mean, it's familiar but different. That's what I'm expecting it'll be like.
So what are you most looking? You said kind of being where Walt was, and I really felt that out there, especially at Disneyland, especially on Main Street. You could just like the firehouse was emotional. But is there like an attraction or a restaurant that you're super excited to get to experience?
Haunted Mansion. I love Haunted Mansion in Florida. It's my absolute favorite. And Phantom Manor in Paris is very different, but a similar sort of thing. Where Phantom Manor is scary, actually. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the Hatbox Ghost, which is apparently we're getting in Florida at some point, but that seems to have gone very quiet again. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to Pirates of the Caribbean as well, and seeing how that's different as well.
Yeah, it's longer and it is super cool at Disneyland. Oh man, I get to go out there and run that race in January, and I'm super stoked for that. I'm just kind of bummed that I have to run so many miles in like the course of a week to be able to do
It'll
that.
be worth it.
Well, I don't know if I'll be able to walk by the time I get to California because I'll be run 48 miles in Florida and then taking a cross country flight. I don't know how that's gonna work. Yeah, Disney does all this stuff, right? They get you all hyped up, like, yes, I'm gonna do this, and then like you sign up for all this, you spend way more money than you need to, like because they get you all excited and you just give your credit card and you just don't think about it. Now it's been 6 months and I'm like, wait a second. I'm getting old. Like that's going to be a lot of miles to run and a lot of sitting in an airplane, like in between running all those miles. Boy, you should have thought about this. Maybe you should.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
It'll be great. Yeah, the pictures will be wonderful. Or hopefully just crawling across that finish line in California because that's all I'll have left. But as we wrap up here, because we gotta kind of close out. I'm super excited that we got to connect because you have a different perspective being over in the UK, but you have such a deep connection being DVC. Let me just kind of wrap it here because you have that trip coming up, the big one, coming doing kind of a coast to coast here in the States. What's the family saying? Like, what's the vibe, like the countdown to that? What are you most looking forward to with both aspects of that trip? I mean, you get to go to Disneyland for the very first time. Walt Disney. Where are you staying at World when you come over? Do you know yet?
I would imagine we'll definitely stay at Old Key West because we've got three home resorts, but that's definitely my favorite. Old Key West always feels like home to me, so there will definitely be at Old Key West. I think we'll probably go back to the boardwalk again, just for that proximity of walking to Epcot and to Hollywood Studios. And when we were at Boardwalk last year, the cast members were phenomenal. It was our anniversary while we were there, and they looked after us wonderfully. So I'd love to go back there again. I don't think we'll quite be able to stretch our points to Bay Lake Tower like we did last year, which is beautiful resort, really lovely. But I think Old Key West will be a definite, and probably Boardwalk, I think.
Sounds good to me. It's going to be a great trip. We'll have to talk when you get back from that too, because I'd love to hear your perspective on Disneyland and just the whole United States tour. That'll be great. So, Vikki, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it. It's great to connect with you, and have a great rest of your summer over there in the UK, and hope to get to run into you over at the park sometime.
Thank you to you.
All right. Well, don't forget our show is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out today for your next Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney trip. They are standing by right now over at themagicforless.com. Also, please use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. It's one extra click that supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And a sincere thank you to the patrons of the Be Our Guest Podcast. You make all these shows possible. So thank you very much for your support. Starts at just $5 a month, and our patrons get that bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Come on over and support us if you can. It's patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. I'm on the cruise. I can't remember the link. Be Our Guest Mike, Instagram and Twitter. Give us a follow over there. I'll have lots of content for you, especially today as we sail away. And again, no live show this Sunday night because I will be back, but still be down at Walt Disney World. All right. And shout out to Malcolm who's tuned in. This is a Malcolm show because we're not on in the middle of the night for Malcolm there. So shout out Malcolm over in London. All right. We're going to get out of here and wish you a great Monday and a happy 4th of July to everybody here in the States. Hope you have a good one. Stay safe with all those fireworks tomorrow, because I know that where I live here in the middle of the USA, there are lots and lots of fireworks flying here, there, and everywhere. So remember, when you light the wick, run, and make sure you look for cars when you run, because it's wild around here. So just be careful. Make sure you point the thing in the right direction before you light the fuse, because it's just people are wild where I live. So just be careful tomorrow night. All right, so stay safe. Happy birthday, USA. We'll see you real soon. I screwed that up. All right. Sorry. I'm telling you, dude, people, there's fireworks everywhere here. But the scariest thing is I won't even be in the country, man. My house is pelted with fireworks. I started thinking about that. My heart started beating fast. I'm like, okay, I just need to quit thinking about how many fireworks going to be shooting over my roof, and I'm not even going to be in the country.
You'll be having fireworks though, surely.
Oh yeah, they're doing them on the ship. I'm just worried about the people that live around me. They're going to be shooting off these, because we have 5 fireworks stands right around my subdivision. 5 different fireworks stands. I mean, it's crazy around here.
Wow. I mean, we have fireworks on 5th of November. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's not too bad around here. It's mainly organized displays and such like. We don't have too many in houses.
No, it's amateur hour here. Like, you just go and they're super cheap, so everybody can buy like way more than they need. Hang on, and it was 13 or 23, 14. And we're in the middle of a drought too. No. Hopefully, I'm just praying to God it rains like on Sunday or Saturday or Sunday while we're gone. It just kind of wets everything down, because we have, like, my yard out there is brown right now. Like, we have a wood deck attached to our house, a big wood deck. Like, all it takes is my
fingers crossed
neighbor next door who's gonna have enough for like a small like third world country army. Yeah. 18 Roman candles at once. I'm telling you, next Monday night when I'm on that ship, I'll be tossing and turning like, please let him miss my house. Please let him miss.
Oh, you'll be far too busy having fun thinking that.
I hope so. Yeah. I need to I do have those Wise cameras, so I'll just plug them in and make sure I can actually get a feed and like, okay, I can see my living room. That's what I'm going to do. Well, I appreciate it. And thanks for taking the time, and don't be a stranger. We'll have to do this again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good one. Nice talking to you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.